Hello, my love, and welcome to the Energy Expansion podcast. I am your host, Dani Kenney. And as always, I'm very excited to be here with you. You can probably hear the excitement in my voice and feel the smile on my face. If you are new around here, we're so happy to have you. If you're one of our many longtime loyal listeners, thank you for coming back again and again. Today's going to be a really fun one. I feel like they're all fun and they all come from a different angle and serve a different purpose. And as I was thinking about you this week, I really sat with what feels most real and alive right now. And I feel like one of the things that comes most naturally for me is noticing, what am I navigating? What am I sitting with? And I like to use these micro moments, but there's something about calling it a micro moment that I feel like takes away some of the power. It's these little moments as we're moving throughout our day. It's these little moments as we're moving throughout our life, our week. And there are these aha moments where there's not anything like crazy or big or dramatic, but you're able to see yourself in those moments and you have your own ahas, your own breakthroughs, what I like to call around here these holy shift moments. And sometimes those are really big and they are really obvious and they are really dramatic. And other times they're really subtle. And just because they're subtle doesn't mean that they're not really incredibly powerful. And so as I was walking and I'm starting this journey of running. This wasn't something I was going to share with you, but it's coming through, so we're going to trust it. Before I had kids, this is so funny, this thing about me. I never really considered myself a runner until I did. My mom got into running half marathons. She did a few marathons. She did the Nike Women's Marathon in San Francisco. If you don't know, now you know, it's like a really big deal. It's a highly sought after event where there's literally a lottery. Like there's so many people who want to do it. I don't know if this is still the case, but this was the case for a really long time when my mom did it. And then I got to do the half marathon with her. So she did the full marathon. A few years later, we did the half marathon together. But there's literally a lottery. So you pay to do the run, and then you don't actually get fully charged until your name gets picked. So not everyone gets to do it. And one of the big incentives is that when you cross the finish line, you get a Tiffany's necklace, like the Tiffany's, the turquoise box, the whole nine, all of it. And so I never really considered myself very athletic, which is not true. Growing up from a very young age, as long as I can remember, I did dance, tap, ballet, jazz. I was very much into gymnastics. There was a moment there, a year or two, where I thought I wanted to go to the Olympics and compete with the USA team inside of gymnastics and train with the best coaches in the world. That didn't actually happen. Newsflash. I think you would know if that happened, but gymnastics was a really, really, really big part of my life for a very long time. And then in high school, that kind of trickled over into cheer and the dance team there, which again, that was also a really big part of my life. But all of this being said, I didn't consider myself super athletic. My mom started running. I was really inspired by her. So we ran. She came down to San Diego. We did the rock and roll. If you're looking to get into running, the rock and roll marathon series is great. They have them all over. I've done the rock and roll half marathon, just to be perfectly clear here. I've never done a full marathon at this juncture in my life. I don't have any desire to run 26.2 miles. I've never had the desire, but I can get on board with a half marathon. I ran many of them. I did the rock and roll half in San Diego, one in LA, one in San Jose, the Nike's Women Half Marathon, and then a few other ones. I want to say there were like 2 or 3 more through different brands and like racing franchises. And so I was actually really inspired by my mom. Mom, if you're listening, I love you. Thank you. I don't think I've ever like explicitly said this piece. I've said thank you to you before, but not around the running. And so this was a pretty big part of my life before having kids. And I was really excited because me stepping into the identity of runner, like literally allowed me to have a brand new identity. And then when motherhood came along, I didn't really have the desire to run. I didn't have the time or the energy to train. And all of a sudden, within just the last few weeks, like right now in real time, fast forward to June 2026, I have been walking our local lake and I absolutely love it. The wildlife is stunning. There's something about being outside in the sunshine, getting fresh air every morning. I highly recommend this wherever you are. Maybe you don't have a lake, maybe your situation looks different, but if you can just get outside first thing in the morning, like get out of your head, get out of the four walls that you're in most of the day and just be in fresh air and be with God and move your body. It is freaking life-changing. So I've been doing this almost every day since February. This is crazy. That's like many, many months. And just in the last couple of weeks, I've been feeling the nudge to run. I have not felt that urge in years. And so I fulfilled a little dream of mine. It feels kind of silly to call it a dream, but it did feel like a really big deal where all of my running shoes I've ever had, I've gotten them from like the Nike outlet store where I just go in, I buy whatever looks cool and whatever is on sale. And that has worked really well for me. But I know of people who have gotten really nice, properly fitted running shoes. And fam, I turned 39 in April. I'm going to be 40 in less than a year. Like, hi, I want things that fit me, that are made for me, and not randomly, blindly walking into a store praying for the best. And so just last week, I went into a local running store. It's called Milestones. If you're in San Diego, I highly, highly, highly recommend this place. I was very impressed. Exceptional service. These people are experts. And I walked out with a pair of running shoes and I'm having an absolute blast with this. And that was a whole roundabout way, a powerful roundabout way to let you know that today's podcast episode came through while I was out for a run yesterday morning. I'm getting my best ideas for things I want to teach my clients, different sessions that I want to lead for the groups, the communities that I'm a part of, that I get to curate, and also really fun ideas for content. And so yesterday when I was out for a run, knowing that I was going to record this podcast episode, I was asking myself that question, the question that I presenced right when we were on together today. And I invite you to ask yourself this very regularly. Some version of what's alive for me right now? What's real? What am I inspired by? What do I feel like I'm learning? What's making a difference for me? And if you know anything about me, you might know this, maybe not. You might know me really well and not know this. So I love the number 3. The number 3 is my favorite number. I've got 3 kids. I have a alter ego. Back in the day, if you'd been to any of my free live events that I would host, I would teach different things over a series of a week. I loved teaching the power of an alter ego. My alter ego's name is Trinity, which means 3. And there's a spiritual aspect to Trinity. But all of these things, I love 3. I love teaching in 3s also. And so, of course, I did not do this on purpose. I was not forcing the 3, but I was like, okay, there's this thing and there's this thing. Oh, yeah, and there's one more thing. 3 things. Perfect. Let's talk about that on this week's podcast episode. So, part 1, thing number 1, the first of the 3 things we're going to dive into in no particular order. All of these are actually really important, and I'm very excited about this. So, number 1, some of you listening, especially if we're already connected, if we're not, that's okay. We're connected now. Love you tons. I haven't talked about it in a week or two, but for a few weeks on my social media, primarily, I was freaking all the way out about my hair. So I have very long hair, and my hair feels like it's part of my identity. I love my hair. It feels like it's part of my brand. My last handful of photo shoots I've done over the last couple of years, I have very long hair. And I was getting this itch to chop it all off. And I've got to be honest with you, I still have that itch and I don't get haircuts very often. And so there's this like dramatization that happens in my mind when I'm getting ready to go get a haircut that I only do once a year, where I feel like I've got to do something crazy because I don't do this very often, which is so silly because I literally take my 4-year-old to the barber shop every 5 weeks. There's no reason why I can't get a few more haircuts every year and change my mind. And so for 2.5 weeks, I was talking about this a lot on my social media about cutting my hair and polling people. And some people were like, yes, chop it off. And other people were like, no, it'll be the biggest mistake. And some people were messaging me privately and they were like, you should absolutely do it for this reason, or you should absolutely not do it for this reason. And a lot of you have reached out over the last week or two and you're like, dude, what did you decide? Like, you were talking about this hair situation nonstop for weeks. And then like you stopped talking about it altogether. Like, what happened? So let me share with you here. I went in and I got my hair trimmed. I can't even say that I got it cut. I went in, I was freaking out. You guys, this was like literally keeping me up at night. I'm embarrassed to admit this, but if you know, you know. A change like that is a really big deal. And so I went in. I should have just like texted or called my hairdresser when this was legit making me panic every day for multiple days. And so I go in, I tell my hairdresser how I'm feeling, and she's so sweet about it. Like, literally, she's such an expert. She was like, here are my thoughts. If you really want to chop it off, we'll do that. We can totally do that. But she was like, Dani, you only come in one time a year. And so by the time you get here, your hair is like unhealthy, right? We need to liven it up. We need to freshen it up. And so she said, I think what would be the best thing for you would be to just trim it. We'll take off a couple inches. We'll get it healthy. We'll see how you feel. And then from there, if you want to come back in to cut it, that would be a good idea. So like doing it in phases and stages. So that's that. That's what we decided to do. We took off. It's still like long, like goes down to like my lower mid back or upper lower back, if you're tracking what I'm saying, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. And I love my long hair, but I'm still feeling the itch. But I'm sharing all of this with you because there is a classic line. You might be familiar with this line. It says, a woman who cuts her hair is about to change her life. And I like that. And I feel like that's a part of maybe why I was wanting to chop off my hair and maybe why I still want to. But guess what? There's other ways to change your life, my love. You don't have to lob off all your hair, all your long locks. And so, yes, a woman who cuts her hair is about to change her life. I think there's something to that. I didn't cut my hair, but you know what I did do? That feels like a really big deal, is I changed my name on Instagram. And I changed my Instagram bio. I don't think I've changed my Instagram bio in like 6 or 7 years. And you might be listening to this thinking that I'm ridiculous. And also, some of you might be listening and you're like, okay, yep. When an online business owner, when a heart-centered service provider changes their Instagram bio, it's about to go down. That's how I feel. I open up my Instagram profile and I'm like, who is this? Who is this woman? So I wanted to bring you into this really quickly. So there's the name, not your handle, but the actual name, which is the most searchable aspect of your profile, like how people find you. So Instagram, actually, I really love Instagram. I think it's very fun. It's my favorite place to connect with people. I'm also on Facebook. I have TikTok. I'm not on there very often. Yeah, I'm like, what other social media platforms do I have? Are there other ones that exist? I don't know. I feel like I'm a little bit of a grandma in the coaching industry. I think when you've been coaching for over a decade, you're officially a coaching grandma. And I wear that badge with honor, a coaching grandma. And I'm also not super tech savvy. I don't know if you know that about me, but let that be inspiring and encouraging if you're also not tech savvy and you're wanting to have an online presence and or build an online business like I have. The amount of success that I've been able to create while not knowing how to do most things technologically is pretty impressive. I used to have shame around not being tech savvy and I wanted to hide that fact. That's another thing I own, is like, take it from me, if I could figure it out, I promise you can as well. So I changed my name, the searchable component of my name, from Energy Mastery Coach. That's what it was for the last 3 years. And it's not that I don't do that. In fact, the energetic side of life and business, if you know anything about me, is something that I am ridiculously passionate about, because when you understand the energetic dynamics, when you understand energetic laws, aka universal laws, you unlock an entirely new way of moving through the world. And so supporting the women that I serve in mastering their energy and their mindset is absolutely at the forefront of my work. So that in practice and in teaching and the things I share and create content around, that is not going away. But you've heard me say the word searchable many times. I don't think that most people who are brand new to me know what an energy mastery coach is. And so I was having a conversation with a friend and mentor of mine and like really breaking down in the simplest form who I am and what I do. And I told her I'm a life coach for entrepreneurs. I'm a life coach for leaders. I'm a life coach for heart-centered, spiritual, highly driven, impact-driven women. Put most simply, from the very beginning of my business, the people who were drawn to working with me were powerful women. They were business owners. They were entrepreneurs. They were leaders in their community. And when they came to me, there's always been this aspect of like wanting to rock it in business, wanting to rock it in their career, but this cravings for something more beyond that, for results that go beyond just numbers. And so at the end of the day, put most simply, I'm a life coach for leaders. I'm a stand for women creating more of what they want, exactly what they want, in the ways that they desire to. I'm a stand for alignment. I'm a stand for you understanding the way that you're uniquely designed and crafting a life around that. And so I'm really excited. Again, the energy and mindset mastery is so real, but life coach for leaders feels like the simplest and equally most powerful way to explain what I do. And I'm really incredibly excited about that. The other thing, so that was me updating my name, but my bio, I got to read it to you. I just pulled up my Instagram. I'm very excited. The first line of this is the coach you wish you hired sooner. Ooh, that feels fun. It feels a little sassy. I like a little bit of sass, and it also feels insanely true. I cannot tell you how many people, how many women in my world, this happens a few different ways. So number one, I have women who have hired coach after coach after coach after coach, and then they find me. And some of them are a little hesitant. Some of them are a little bit burned by the coaching industry, and they don't quite know what to make of it, but they trust their gut. They trust that they landed on me for a reason. And very quickly within our work together, they're like, oh, this is what I've been working for all along. I wish I would have found you first. I wish I would have found you sooner. Word for word, I can't tell you how many women over the last 12 to 13 years have shared that with me. The other thing that happens is I am often the gateway where people will find me, they'll meet me, there'll be a spark, an inkling, a curiosity around coaching, around what more is possible and available for them, and particularly around our work together, like what it would look like for us to work together. And so I am many people's first coach. So I have had women work with me, hire me as their first coach, go through a coaching program or like a one-on-one experience or a group coaching program. And then when they graduate that program, when they complete that program, they'll go off into the world and often get excited about other opportunities and programs and possibilities out there. They'll sign up for someone else's program or they'll hire another coach, a different coach. And a lot of times those women come back to me and will rehire me and say, that this is like the greatest compliment. I've literally had more than one person say, you've ruined coaching for me because I literally cannot work with anyone except for you. There is a standard. There is a way that I lead. There is a way that I serve that I really, truly believe is unmatched. And I believe that because I have had so many people say that to me. And so leading with this, the coach you wish you hired sooner, feels so accurate. And then the next line of this, I just changed this morning. This feels so good, is fueled by faith, 13 years, over 1,500 women served. Underneath that is stop overthinking, create momentum, and then show up, serve, and sell for 30 days. So this feels like a world of a difference from the vague language, the like overuse of emojis. I'm very, very excited about this. So your girl, me, Dani, I did not cut my hair yet, but I did change my Instagram name and I updated my bio. And if someone updates their IG bio, they are for sure, most certainly about to change their entire life. So there's that. The other thing, part number 2 that I wanted to share, I kind of wove this in when I told you I just re-updated my bio again this morning to add fueled by faith. So I have been playing with new content strategies, and I've got to tell you, to say that I've been playing with them is the most accurate way to describe it, because I am having so much fun creating content in ways that are totally new and totally different and totally innovative for me. It's a breath of fresh air, and it's something that I was admittedly a little bit intimidated by at first. I wasn't fully on board with my belief in myself and my ability to do things so differently, because I've been doing things the same way since I started my business 13 years ago, and it has been working for a really long time. And I'm feeling the call to evolve and do something different. And so I've honestly been feeling this nudge for well over a year. It took me about a year to get fully on board with it. And we're a couple of weeks in, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Speaking of, we wish we would have done things sooner. I wish I would have started this sooner. And so again, I'm having a blast with this. But after a week of going all in on this new strategy for visibility and content creation and showing up, I started realizing that my faith. All right, love, real quick pause because I have to tell you about something that is truly life-changing. If you've been in my world for any amount of time, then there is a 99.9% chance that you have heard me talk about Energy Expansion Academy, which is my signature group coaching program where I teach the exact tools, rituals, mindset shifts that helped me create a life that goes beyond my wildest dreams and has transformed the lives of hundreds of women that I've had the honor of serving. And for the first time ever, it is now available as a self-paced experience. That means you get to move through this powerful transformation on your own terms, in your own timing, and in full alignment with your life. This is for the woman who's ready to shift her energy, elevate her mindset, and finally become the most confident, fulfilled, and successful version of herself. Without the hustle, without the overwhelm, and without the second guessing. If you've been feeling the nudge to join us inside of EEA, then this, my love, is your sign. You'll find the link in the show notes or just DM me EEA on Instagram and I'll personally send it your way. Now, let's get back to the episode that you came for. Wasn't reflected in a lot of what I was putting out there. I didn't notice it right away. Like, it was a solid week of putting out a lot of content. And the moment I realized that, it felt off. Because if I'm being completely honest, my faith is my favorite thing about myself. This is important. The way that you feel about you is so incredibly important. The most important relationship that you have is the relationship that you have with yourself. And if you are a person of faith, then the relationship that you have with God, the relationship that you have with Creator, the relationship that you have with fill in the blank. I don't care what you fill it in with, but the relationship that you have with you and the relationship that you have with your higher power, nothing is above that. Nothing is more important than that. And that is coming from a woman who is getting ready to celebrate 15 years of marriage with her husband in less than 2 weeks. I just say that because my marriage is very important to me. My relationship with my husband matters a lot. And I'm also a mom of 3. I'm freaking obsessed with my kids. My kids are my entire world. Every day I say those words out loud. Every day I think that. And like nothing feels more true. So for someone who is obsessed with her person, her life partner, her children, my mom, my extended family, I'm obsessed with my clients and the women I get to serve. Like it brings me to tears when I'm in community with these people in person and on Zoom sessions and staring at their faces and hearing their voices. And also, none of those relationships are more important than how I feel about me and how I feel about my connection to something bigger and how I feel about the way that God relates to me. And so, all of that being said, I didn't feel like my faith was coming through, honestly, like at all in my content. And that did not feel good. So just this morning, I kind of moved things around and made sure to add fueled by faith, because that is so true. And having these realizations, the way that it came through was very specifically as I was out for a run was, if it's not God's will, I don't want it. If the hand of the Holy Spirit isn't on it, it's not for me. And that feels so deeply meaningful because in these new strategies and my planning for the future personally and professionally, I was getting very excited about what I'm creating and what I'm wanting and what I'm manifesting and what I'm dreaming about and what I'm journaling about. And I realized that recently I haven't been checking in with God at all. It's just like, what does Dani want? What does Dani think is best? What's Dani's timing? What's Dani's plan? And I had this very necessary, very humbling moment, even a little comical. I'm pretty sure God was laughing at me. God's been laughing at me like, you silly goose, you silly girl. Like, when are you going to remember to make space for me? Because my will, God, meaning I'm pretending I'm God right now, God's will is greater than Dani's will. God's plan, way better, 100% of the time, better than Dani's plan. God's timing, yes, please. I will take God's timing over my own timing. That's crazy to say, but it's true. God's dream for my life is a million gazillion times better than my dream for my life. My puny little brain can't even comprehend what is possible. So I will take what God has for me 100% of the time over what I think I want. And so that may or may not speak to you, but that feels like one of the truest truths for me. And it felt important for me to share that with you today. I think I do a pretty decent job of weaving in aspects of my faith here on the podcast. And I think maybe it's been a minute since we like really had a direct conversation around this. And it might even be helpful for us to have a whole faith-based podcast episode. We have a few of those, but I don't feel like we've had one recently. And many of you have shared with me how incredibly helpful those conversations are for you. It's like a divine permission slip for you to explore what this means for you and how faith fits into your life. And so that felt important to bring up today. And then the third thing that I want to talk about, and remember we're doing this in threes, so this is the last part, is a little loving reminder. If you didn't know this, this is definitely time sensitive. This will still be powerful anytime, but this is going to drop. This episode is going to drop on Wednesday, June 17th. And a few days after that, Sunday, June 1st, is the summer solstice, which is wild for us over here because my kids, my 2 oldest daughters, I have a almost 13-year-old. That's so crazy. I keep forgetting that I'm about to have a teenager, and my youngest is going to be 11 in September. And these ladies have been on summer break, if I didn't already tell you, since May 18th. Who goes on summer break in the middle of spring? My kids do, apparently. So although we've been on, this is wild, we've been on summer break for almost a month, summer will officially arrive this week, this Sunday, and that feels really exciting. So let's talk about this really quickly. what is summer solstice? So not only is it the first official day of summer, but it is the longest day of the year. That sounds a little funny because there's not technically extra time in the day, which would be so nice. How great would that be if we had more time? I'm so here for all the time spaciousness, all of the extra minutes and hours we can weave in. When I say it's the longest day of the year, what I mean is it's the day that has the most amount of light, sunlight, and really truly the most amount of solar energy. Solar energy, the frequency, the power of the sun fuels so much life force. For us as humans, right at the very beginning, I was preaching about getting outside, getting some sun, moving your body. It's literal magic. The best mood booster. I want to say the best antidepressant. I got to tell you, there have been some mornings since I've been doing this morning routine of getting outside and walking the lake. There have been many, more than I can count with my two hands and probably my 10 toes. That's a lot of days where I wake up on what I would refer to as the wrong side of the bed. You ever wake up on the wrong side of the bed? And I'm like, oh man, we're in for it today. And typically it's within, like, by the time I wake up and then go drop off my son and I'm walking, it's about 90 minutes, not even 2 hours. And instant shift in my mood, in my energy. And a big part of that is because of the sun. And so having the most amount of light, the most amount of solar energy, like literally and figuratively, it also represents the moment of peak vitality. Vitality is our life force. It's our life force physically, energetically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Vitality can mean so many things. It's peak vitality. It's peak abundance. It's this big, bold, unstoppable, unshakable, unwavering, fiery energy. And I'm sharing this with you because the days leading up to, like right now where we are, but the days leading up to summer solstice, you get to tap into this energy of what it means to have the most amount of light, the most amount of this solar power, and how you want to weave that into your own experience. There's also something really powerful about the energy of summer, not just the sun and summer solstice, but summer as a season represents visibility. It represents expression. It represents being in full bloom. So think about what it would feel like, what it would look like for you to be in full bloom in this season. You absolutely get to play with that energy. The other thing that I want you to know is that if, as I'm saying these things out loud right now and you're receiving them, if you're not feeling the vitality, the fire, the desire to be visible, the full bloomness, that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. You're not bad, you're not wrong, you're not broken, you're not any of those things. Something that I learned when I was going through one of my many certification programs, I want to say like coveted. I covet them, I love them. I think I'm using that word properly. They mean so much to me. Yes, I've invested tens of thousands of dollars in certifications alone. If you add certifications and then coaching programs, business development, personal and professional development, oh, my friend, we are well over 6 figures in investments. And I'm so grateful for every single one of those. Every dollar spent, every minute spent learning and growing and expanding, all of that good stuff. But one of the very first sort of like big certifications that I did back in 2019, we had this conversation around seasons and cycles and energy. This feels important. I wasn't actually planning on sharing this, but it's coming through right now. What I learned was you have your own personal seasons. If you're a business owner like I am, and I know many of you listening are business owners, your business could be in its own season, separate from your personal season. And now wait for it, that might be different from, I'm like pointing out my window, like pointing at the sunshine. That might be different than what's actually happening in nature. And so there is an invitation to tap into the summer energies of vitality and abundance and this like fun fire and the visibility and the expression and the being in full bloom. But if you're not feeling that, You don't have to force anything. You might be in your own internal winter or autumn or spring. Your business might be going through its own separate season. And so there are ways that you can literally and energetically tap into the season that nature is representing. Not even that nature's representing, but like the season that we are literally in when you look outside your window, when you walk outside your front door. And so my intention in sharing all of this is to encourage you to honor the season that you're in, to not try to make things be a certain way if that is not what's true and alive for you. So, as we're leading up to Sunday, as we're leading up to summer solstice, you might feel the urge. I know that every time there's a change in season, I'm not even always consciously aware of this, but I will often feel the urge to declutter, to clear out things that I don't want to carry into the next season. I would highly recommend, if you're able to spend some extra time outside over the coming days. I would encourage you to sit with some manifestation type questions of, as I'm heading into this new season, what am I ready to step into? What do I desire? What are my dreams? What do I want to create? What do I want to experience? Allowing the energy of manifestation and creation and what's next to be alive as we step into this new season that's actually in full support of you creating and having and experiencing everything that you want. Something else that you could do that would be really powerful is celebrate the first big chunk of this year. We're almost at the exact halfway point of 2026. And so take some time and look at what has bloomed. We'll go with that theme. What has bloomed? What has come to fruition since January? What are you celebrating? It's a little cliche, but it's true. What you appreciate appreciates. When you take the time to pause and celebrate, life literally gives you more to celebrate. So celebrating, honoring, acknowledging, having a simple gratitude practice over the next couple of days is a really beautiful way, a fun way, a simple way to honor the season that we're stepping into and leverage the energy of this. You with me? So happy almost summer. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you enjoyed receiving this episode as much as I enjoyed creating it for you. I had a lot of fun. I feel like we covered a lot today. I feel like we were very productive. And as always, I love, like, capital L, capital O, capital V, capital E. I freaking love hearing from you. And so if this stirred up anything, a moment where you were like, oh my gosh, yes, Dani, me too. I feel that. Let me know. Listen to the last few minutes of this and then close out of this and open up Instagram, send me a DM, wherever you and I might be connected. Send me a message. Let me know how this lands for you. Let me know if you have any questions, anything I can support you around. I am so here for all of it. And don't forget that if this is stirring up something inside of you and you're realizing, you know what? I could use a little bit of love and support and coaching and mentorship as I head into this next season. That is literally what I'm here for. And there's no shortage of ways that I can support you in creating what's next as you step into this season. Whether it's your own season of summer or there's something energetically stirring up within you, we've got Energy Expansion Academy, which is where I spend the majority of my time. I go live every single Monday morning at 9 a.m. for a Q&A and like a weekly kickoff, tapping into the energy, just us being together and starting off every single week so powerfully. We have 3 Zoom sessions every single month. We've got an open Q&A where you can come and you can bring what's coming up for you inside of life, inside of business, where you're craving extra support, and get coaching in real time. We also have an energy and mindset alignment session every single month where I curate a totally new and different experience based on the energy of the collective, what I know the women in the community are needing, and we'd love to have you in that community, and also what's happening energetically. We have a private Facebook group and a private group chat where people are connecting with one another and asking questions and getting support from each other, but also getting support from me. It's a version of what I like to call Dani in your pocket. Can you imagine moving through life and realizing that there's something you're needing some support around? You have a question, you're struggling in some way, shape, or form. Can you imagine being able to pull out your phone, send me a message, and I reply directly in real time? It's amazing. There's so many things included inside of Energy Expansion Academy, which we call EEA, and that's probably one of the very best ones. I think everybody in EEA probably has a different favorite feature. We also have a self-paced version. So outside of all of those live components, outside of all of those different ways that you can be supported, we have an entire content portal and an Energy Expansion Academy transformation framework. So if you want to start with that, you can get access to that and move through it at your own pace. You can also grab momentum, 4 weeks, show up, serve, and sell every day, get massive results in your business and the areas of life that matter most to you. I'm loving our DKC breakthrough days. I did another one. My goal, I don't think I actually shared this with you. My goal after getting trained in how to facilitate breakthrough days effectively and powerfully back in November, my goal heading into this year was to do at least one per month. We are not even, we're close, but not quite through the first half of 2026. And I've done 8 of them this year alone. So I'm so excited, and the proof is in the pudding here. The women are getting insane results. They're referring their family, they're referring their friends. It's been absolutely mind-blowing. So there's opportunity for breakthrough experiences and other one-on-one customized experiences based on what you might be wanting or needing. So please feel free to reach out to me if you're ready to be a full yes to who you're becoming, what you're creating, and where you're going in this next season. With that said, I love you so much, and we'll see you on the next one.